You crazy mother.
All right.
That's what they should have had at the end. They should have just been a metal version. Instead,
That was
just
really
shredding.
quiet. The whole series could have been a 10 out of 10.
It could have been
easy.
This was HBO's legacy right here, and it now is just
They
Like-
close to Sopranos. That's what they. Pretty
yeah.
much,
They
close
pretty
to-
much closed it like other HBO shows, like
Close
Boardwalk
to
Empire, The Sopranos.
It was
just
close to being
dumb
like a
ending.
Sopranos. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I don't
But
know,
like, so let's start from the top. You know, like season 8 starts, and the one thing I gotta say, you know, all right, if you're gonna rush the season, all right, if you're whatever reasons you have for speeding things up, the way it was filmed, and I made excuses for it, you know, because I was trying to understand where they were coming from, but the time jumping and the place jumping made it feel very out of place. Like,
yeah.
you know, 1 minute Daenerys, like even in the previous season, it was just ridiculous. They all go up north to catch a freaking White Walker. Daenerys is like, they need my help. 2 minutes later, she flies a dragon in there.
Yeah.
She's already there. Like,
It's like, did it take like
right? 1 minute people are in King's Landing. Next thing you know, they're in Winterfell. They're like, oh, let's go.
That's when you can tell they were
Right?
definitely starting to rush how the season was going.
It's like everybody's just neighbors. It's not that far away. Like,
But then, like in the earlier seasons, be like, "Oh, it's a day's ride or some shit." Yeah,
right.
and
It took like
oh,
3
okay.
episodes. It took the
Right?
freaking
Yeah,
White Walkers
yeah.
fucking 7 seasons to get there.
So yeah, so in the beginning of the season 8, it just seemed like everything was like, "Oh, everybody's just getting to Winterfell."
It's like a fucking family reunion, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, hey!
I
Jamie,
think they
what's
just
up?
wanted to- they just
Remember
wanted
you
to do
threw
that,
me
like-
off the tower just a few seasons ago?
I mean, like that first episode of season 8 wasn't that, you know, it wasn't like explosive or anything, but like none of the in all the previous seasons, none of them were really like that. They were all just like an introductory of how the season was gonna go. But the problem with that is because that one started kind of slow, and then the second one started like, you know, it started to pick up its pace. And then from there, after the second episode, it's like, here, this is this, here's all this. Yeah, it's just like, what the
Fucking
hell?
playing
Yeah.
dodgeball.
Right.
But like staying on the first episode, I guess we're still talking about it.
But yeah, it's just the time jumping, like the fact that you can just move from one thing to the next. And one thing about Game of Thrones before this season was it was never too linear, in my opinion. It was never too linear. This season was nothing but linear.
Yeah, it was just,
It was like when you play an RPG or some shit, and all the walls, and even though there's a rock, it looks like you could jump over. There's like an invisible wall there. You just have to go this way. That's how this whole season went. Like you just went from
in previous
walk to
seasons,
Winterfell, battle the Night King, walk back to King's Landing,
Yeah.
battle Cersei, throne. Like it was just so linear. There was no curves. There was no like everything was just so.
It's like we talked about before too. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like the whole like hinting they used to do, like with like things that were gonna happen, like foreshadowing in a way.
Yeah.
Just little hints here and there.
Yeah.
That they would drop where you just don't get any of that this season, and they definitely started dropping off on that the previous season before with Littlefinger and stuff.
I mean, I guess like in a sense, the reason why they stopped doing all the like the little hints was because this season was supposed to just tie everything to like come to a conclusion.
It was just there was
and-
no
You know
need
what?
for it to be rushed.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I'm
true.
saying too.
Yeah.
So, and I guess this is the biggest problem is that, and everyone's making excuses for the rush.
Yeah.
And the biggest points I want to make about season 8 right now is the fact that why was it rushed? Because it is the #1 watched show, basically, like one of the most
Yeah, like
watched
in the
shows
world.
ever, right?
like in the world.
And it's HBO. You know, they know. It's not like they don't know what kind of money it's bringing in. And if you had asked HBO, if we're D&D and we're like, hey, we need more time, HBO is going to give it to them. And if we need more money, HBO's gonna give it to him. Like, so what was the point of the rush? Besides the fact that you, as a person, maybe you were done with it.
They ran out of source content. That's how you could tell the shitty what shitty writers they really
ran
were.
out of source material. Yeah.
They ran out of source material, so therefore they. What do we do with characters that we've built up since fucking day one? Like, how do you not know your characters that you're writing about?
But like. Exactly, but it's just like
the other thing too with that, without running out of source material, they actually stopped consulting George R.R. Martin. I think it was like less and less as the series went on. Yeah, because he even said it himself that the writers stopped really consulting him and asking him stuff. And then I think in season 8, he didn't even get contacted at all. They kind of just like went their own way with season 8 because they kind of just wanted to end the series.
Right, so I've heard different rumors, and you guys can fact check these. Apparently, but you guys can fact check these the things I'm about to say. But when talking about why they had a rush, they kept making different excuses. You know, they were pretty much just done with the project, right? And even with that being said, like what you were saying, you know, they didn't remember. It's not that so much they didn't remember the characters that they wrote. It's just like they didn't care. Yeah, everything felt like they didn't care. But I looked online to do some digging myself to figure out why the show was rushed. And apparently one of the excuses, and I don't know how accurate this is, you guys can Google it, it was one of the first things that came up, you know, why was Game of Thrones season 8 not 10 episodes? And it's one of the first articles, it comes off of Forbes, and I just gave it a quick read, and what I saw was they were quoting the writers, and they were basically in a consensus that, oh, well, the fan base was dying out, so, you know, the fan base wanted us to finish the show. So I was just like, huh? Yeah. like what?
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
They're just talking about, you know, this season, the very first episode of this season, like just broke records with views, and you're gonna make some dumbass excuse like, oh, the fan base wanted us to finish it.
Not only that, but the fan base was waiting like a whole year and a half.
Yeah.
Bro, I know people that were never into like shows or movies like this, like Lord of the Rings, or you know, just like fantasy type stuff like this, that got into this show.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
No, but that's what made the show like so unique and grasped like everybody else, was because it was just so uniquely written. And like after that first season, when you see Ned and he's just like, like during that scene, it's like it's slow, it's going slow, and you're like, oh, someone's gonna come in and save him. Someone's gonna do this. Someone's gonna do that. Yeah, and then you see his head roll, and we're like, Wait, hold on. Yeah, like he's still alive though. Yeah, it's like, and it's funny because they got the perfect person to do it too, because everybody knows who Sean Bean is. Yeah, so they're like, oh, okay, well, we've seen this guy before. He's like a top, you know, something actor, and like everybody else they've seen like some other times, like even with Cersei, they've seen her before and stuff like that. But like all these other actors, they're kind of just like, oh, like literally like they just started from that, and they're like, yeah, we don't know who these people are, so they're probably not gonna last. And then that's when it changes the narrative, when Ned ended up getting his head cut off, and that's what made it a unique show. Yeah,
exactly. So to bring back to that point, I have no idea why the writers rushed it. It's all bullshit in my opinion, and they just kind of just did what they did, and you know, they did a good job earlier on in the season. They had they had the source material. They did put in a lot of time. They put in a lot of work, but the thing is like when you create something so good, this is not only just HBO's legacy. This is your legacy. You're about to be one of the greatest all-time showmakers in the history of freaking the world, and you're just like, man, you know what? That doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go make some other stupid movie. Like it's just
at the same time, yeah. But then when you look at it, the guy David Benioff, he is the guy that wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. So it's kind of like, well, I mean, you know, some errors and some bad things. You know what I'm saying? Some like writing, some bad writing was bound to happen. And I was kind of waiting for it like the whole time, because I was like, I remember this guy. He was the one that did X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that one, you know, everybody like, I actually thought it was all right, but everybody like really hated it, and I was like, yeah, I don't like what they did with Deadpool, and apparently that was actually his idea, was to make Deadpool that way in that movie. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this show coming from this guy, I'm just waiting for the bad writing to happen, and I was like, I would have never guessed it would have happened until the end of the whole series, and I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah. So rushed ass season, people are jumping all over the place, and like you said, they build on this, and this is what you brought up just now is one of my biggest complaints, is that this show established a repertoire for You know,
Violence.
getting rid of the I would say like the stereotype of other, you know, shows and things of similar genres.
Like it
characters
kind
and
of
stuff.
like strayed away from like the general like formula of how a TV show or how like
Right.
an HBO TV show
like,
goes.
oh, this is your hero. Watch
Yeah,
him.
and this
Yeah.
is how this story goes,
And
and
then
it was a totally different story, and that's why it grasped a lot of people. And you would think that they would keep that kind of momentum going
Yes.
throughout
Yes.
the whole series,
Yeah.
and it ended up just
So it stopped.
Yeah,
it
it's
just
just like-
stopped. It stopped
It's like,
completely,
whoa.
and that's one of my biggest complaints because everything happened in the season in a such not Game of Thrones fashion.
yeah.
You know, and it ruined the storyline for me because
It just became like another mediocre show, really,
Right,
like
but
this season.
it
just-
also, if they had just followed through with that with that culture, it actually would have made more sense for a lot of things. So, like the first thing I want to get into is the fucking Night King.
yeah.
The Night King. The freaking story arc of the Night King. The ultimate enemy of freaking the human realm, right? And I will say this: that episode was still very entertaining. It was very intense. I watch it, but then you have some deaths, but it's not the death. Like
Yeah.
it's
just
the Night King. It's the
Yeah.
war, bro. Like you gonna tell me like just Jorah and freaking
Theon.
Mormont and Theon? Like yeah,
Lyanna,
that's
yeah.
significant.
Lyanna
But what
Mormont.
about like come on and the Night King himself? How he got defeated? I'll get into in a second, but. You know, like you have his generals, right? And you have all these people. Like, there's just so many. There's no way I picture the writer's thought process, and I'm like, there's no way you thought every episode, oh, this scene, we're gonna have him and his generals walk in. It's gonna be so badass.
Yeah.
So are they gonna fight anybody? Nah, we're just
No.
gonna have them all die off. Like it's just like what?
So
It's just like you had what you said, this reunion of ultimate warriors. You have Jaime Lannister, Brienne, Jon Snow, you know, all these different people. You have these, you know, just four
the
generals.
Dothraki, the
Right.
Unsullied,
Sullied,
the
yeah.
Right.
fucking the armies of
Yeah,
the fucking
like
north.
I
and
don't
shit.
mind how Jorah died,
the wildlands.
but like
That
you
I was kinda
Tormund,
expecting.
like these people needed to fight the generals, man. Like this is what you were building up to. Give us the war we wanted. Like
Yeah.
they needed to fight
Like, yeah,
these
like
guys.
that's what I was thinking too. Because during that fight, I was like, none of the main characters even fought anyone significant.
Yeah.
They all
Nobody's
fought just
significant.
random,
yeah.
random White Walkers.
Honestly, okay, here's the thing. When I think it was you that told us that you informed us that episode 6 was the last episode.
yeah.
And
You didn't even know.
I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like, no joke, when they killed the Night King off, like, just that sudden, I thought they were gonna somehow bring him back or have still some conflict with White Walkers or some shit.
no, that whole story arc just. Like,
But it was just sudden. Just cut him down, fucking done with him, move to the next fucking subject or whatever, Cersei, and then Daenerys. It's just one after the other. It was like one episode
Yeah.
right after the other.
The thing with the Night King too was I thought it would be a lot harder to take him out because he's the Night King. Like he had magic. He fucking grabbed
Exactly.
Bran in
A dream, really?
in a dream sequence. Like yeah, I thought this guy had magic, but are you telling me you can take him out just as easily as you can take out anybody else in your whole fucking army? Like oh my god!
Like-
It's like then he's not really like that.
He's not even
That
like
great of a villain. Like
he's not. And you build the arc up so much. Winter's coming for 7 seasons. It's like, oh shit, well I guess
Yeah.
spring's coming now. Like
yeah.
it's just like, you know, he shows up and he it doesn't make sense. The writing is off because
Yeah.
the way they wrote the Night King, right?
yeah.
From the very few times you see him, he's a complete badass. First of all, he just kills a dragon by throwing a spear with precision aim. He's
Yeah, like 2 miles away.
surgical-
The fucking dragon was flying like 2 miles away. Like,
surgical precision. He hits him right in the one spot. The dragon explodes, right? Like
Blood, yeah.
blood and fire and
yeah, he got him
That's
like
it.
right in the heart, pretty much.
like
yeah.
you know, like there was nothing. Like he just walked in, like yeah, boom, got him. Like quarterback of the year, like so you know he has precision aim. He's very tactical, right?
Yeah.
He's been planning out the way he attacks places. You know, he's very tactical. The way he controls the hordes, and then. Yeah, he's 4,000 years old. He's been through wars. He's been through a lot. Like, he knows how to fight, and his senses are crazy, and he's freaking magical.
Yeah, if this was like a video game and they had like patch notes, it would definitely say that the Night King was like nerfed for season 8. Like, they were like, they've dumbed his powers down. Yeah.
But it's just like the way you write it is so he hears Jon Snow from a mile away. Jon Snow's running. He's trying to sneak. He's trying to be sneaky. You could tell he's not just running. He's just like
he's trying to sneak up behind.
He's trying to sneak up behind him. Jon Snow's like 300 feet behind him, and he's like,
just
I know you're there. And then turns around, does his little thing.
Okay, so
Theon shows up, right? Charges at him like they could have had a better thing than that. I've seen Theon fight other battles. He's not like that, dumb. But yeah, they did that. They killed off Theon. But the way the Night King disarmed him, just boom, boom, 2 moves. Took 2 seconds. Less than that. 1 second, and Theon was dead, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this circle of people. Yes, a circle. Yeah. So if we sat in a circle, we're all
they're the same White Walkers.
Of all the White Walkers.
Zombies. I'm talking about his generals too.
Yep. And and the Night King's magical. He can sense things through these White Walkers.
Yeah.
Right? And here's the craziest part. And this is what I'm saying about the writing. The writers forget what they're writing. Because earlier that very episode, Arya Stark is in the freaking Winterfell.
Yeah.
And they hear the blood dripping from her nose.
Yeah.
And they check under the table. And you're going to tell me nobody heard her running and leaping through the air? Like, they heard her blood dripping. Like, what
it was she got a power-up called plot armor. So that's why they had to...
She said
she didn't need armor.
She said no to the god of death. She said not today to the god of death. She forgot about that
plot armor. That's why she was...
No. When she was reminded by the Red Witch, what do you say to the god of death? That's her power.
That's when her skills power came back.
She's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Another thing that disappointed me about that episode was they built up this whole Night King and Jon Snow and back and forth, and then when they finally get to meet on the battlefield, they don't even fight. Yeah.
So here's my question.
He doesn't fight at all. Yeah.
He gets brought back from the dead. He's supposed to be the prince that was promised. Who did Jon Snow fight after he was brought back? What character of relevance or any kind of significance?
Yeah, what's the guy's name? The one that was torturing Theon and raped Sansa. What was his name? Ramsay. Yeah. I guess that was...
He did fight that battle.
Yeah, he did fight him, and he did kill him to get Winterfell back. But
he did. Sansa did.
Or Sansa. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, as an actual
but with Jon Snow's main help, pretty much.
As an actual main, he fought the battle, but again, like he didn't actually fight Ramsay though.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just like, who, since he's been brought back and him being a main character, who did he fight of relevance? Like, why was he even brought back? Why just to kill Daenerys in the finale? Like.
Right? And then that's it. He's back up north.
And then he's back up north. Like, banished. He fought nobody. What was the point of his character? What was the point of him being brought back? Targaryen?
Yeah, right?
Right? Like, there was no conflict.
They built so much around that.
And here's the other part. Varys writes little notes. He was writing notes all day from sunlight, right? Yeah. You see the part where he's talking to the little girl, sunlight. He's writing little notes. Who did he send them out to? Did no one get those messages? Because apparently nobody knew that he's a Targaryen.
Yeah.
So there was no point of even bringing that story arc into it. Like, it was just like, nobody cared. Like, there was no point. Bran's on the throne. Like, it's just like, what was the point of the aspect of him being a Targaryen?
Yeah.
Because even at the end, Daenerys, like, it was supposed to bring conflict between him and Daenerys. And they kind of did it. Right, they did it where at first, and I thought they were going to dig deeper into it.
Yeah.
But at the end, like that wasn't even the problem when she dies.
Yeah.
Like that had nothing to do with it. She was just like, "Come on, join me still."
Yeah.
And like it was just like
you understand this guy's your nephew, right? Like that was another thing that just like out of the whole time Jon Snow kept trying to tell her like, "Hey, we're related." She was kind of just like, "Oh, so you want the Iron Throne?" He's like, "Bitch, no, that's not what I said. I said we're related."
But it's just like it's the same thing though. It's just like there was the whole point of that idea of his identity being hidden for so long, and then they get to a point where they reveal it, And it's just like, you didn't even have to do that.
Yeah,
because
you
honestly,
really-
it was that irrelevant
Yeah.
that he was a Targaryen, because
Yeah, nobody really
it
cared.
wasn't the driving force between the conflict that caused Daenerys' death.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was her burning King's Landing. Like, she could have did that without him being a Targaryen.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, like, he
could've
could have been
still
Jon Snow.
yeah.
So it was just like, you wrote it in a way that you built it up for so long. Just like the Night King, you built it up for so long.
Yeah.
And what did you do with it? You know, like...
That's the thing with the Night King. I was expecting, like, even if they were gonna do that, I didn't expect him to go out just as easy as every other White Walker. I understand what if Arya did stab him,
Yeah.
and then what if he was still alive? Like, what if it just hurt him and he was
Yeah.
still alive, pushed her off or some shit like
Right.
that? And then here comes Jon, helps out, or other people start coming in trying to help out Bran, or Bran finally actually
Did
warps
something,
something.
yeah.
Because you give him this power where he can take control of
Yep.
whatever animal or whatever living being.
Yep.
And what does he do in that whole episode? He just does a bunch of ravens. Yeah.
He's just
And he just
"No, let's go
spectates the
now."
battle. Yeah. He just spectates the battle from the
Nothing.
He's
know
like,
what? At first-
AFK.
Right.
And it's just like if this was a video game, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
At first, when he learned how to warg, at first, like, I thought he would eventually learn to warg into a fucking dragon. Like,
Right,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure plenty of other people assume that or whatever, like, from when he first learned it.
Yeah. Because then
And-
his skill would have been
and then-
built up by then.
Exactly.
to be
It's
able
another
to-
little build up, just like
So, and here's the other thing, too, is that would have made more sense. And that's something we talked about was... You're right. Arya Stark, one of my favorite characters. I have nothing against her, but like, what happened was not like she got buffed out of nowhere, bro. Because when in the Faceless Men training did you see her all of a sudden just be so spectacular? That training, if you look back at it, it was more like she had the sword training from the Bravos dude. She had like further training fighting with in the dark.
Yeah.
But it was more of like a philosophy and the being deceptive and just being in the shadows and then killing people on the sly and then taking their faces. It wasn't like I am just all around like just great. I was taught like everything like off screen, and all of a sudden like I'm a ninja and I can fly through a place of people,
a whole unit of White Walkers,
and they all see you, and like again, like he can hear Jon Snow a mile away, but he can't hear her running and leaping.
Like, out of
through the
nowhere,
air.
she became Batman. And
Right.
Just,
and then here's the thing
out of
though,
the dark. It was like,
and this is the part. Okay, you make that excuse. He doesn't hear her. He hears it at the last second. Turns around, grabs her. Right.
Yeah.
He watches the dagger fall, and he's just like, huh? And it's the. All right, how many movies have you seen that move in?
Yeah.
The 1-2, like the drop and the grab, like he's a 4,000-year-old warrior. He just disarmed Theon in 1 second and killed him. Like he should have seen that coming. Like he's the fucking Night King. Like
like people would make the argument because his hands. He already had a hand on the neck, and he already had a hand on her hand or whatever. But as soon as he saw the knife, you just let
drop
go
her.
or just let go of her neck while you still got her hand because you still have her.
Yeah.
Or let go of her hand and you still got her neck and you still have her.
Or
just drop her all together and just push her away.
So, but then this is what we were talking about with Bran. That would have Bran could have did something. He could have. Even if it was just grabbing the Night King and falling off the chair, something that would have made it make more sense that she was able to do that. You know what I mean? Warg into him and try to take control of him. He's trying to fight it. Some shit.
Or the ravens he's already in.
Right.
At the very least.
But I like how this Bran is just sitting there like, hey, what's up?
So, yeah. I had a complete problem with the way the Night King died. The episode was so good, besides the minor things like the dragon not being able to burn the rock that Jon Snow's behind.
Yeah, because of plot armor.
Well, we're gonna get
That's
into
a
that.
pretty solid rock, bro.
He can burn an entire 500-foot wall of ice, but he can't burn one 5-inch boulder.
And again, I've gone through the process of making excuses for the writers. So I said, okay, well at least the wall is ice and that's fire. Okay, whatever. This is rock. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
But in the very next
landing
battle, the fucking dragon's like a lightsaber, bro. He just cuts through towers like in 1 second. Just and the whole tower falls. And I'm like, all right. It took him like at least a good 10 minutes to burn down the ice wall. He couldn't even blow through the rock that Jon Snow was hiding behind. But all of a sudden now they're just like butter, bro. Like the fucking cast is just everything's like getting cut like butter. It's just like. That's what I mean. The writers were getting what they wrote. in either that episode or the episode before. Like, it doesn't make sense how powerful the dragon was.
I feel like they were just really just going for more of like the wow factor rather than putting in actual logic like they were before in previous seasons. So it was just more of just trying to wow the audience this time around because it's the last season. So they're like, oh, let's just add this. So then it adds this like whole thing of, oh, Jon Snow can't get past the dragon, so he can't help Bran. And then out of nowhere comes Arya. Like that was, I think that's what their thought process was.
It's the whole rush of it, though.
Yeah.
To miss little fucking just detail. Well, not little.
I would have preferred it if he blew through the rock and Jon Snow didn't get burned. He got burnt, but like he was alive, and he was like, "Oh shit!"
Also, speaking of logic, not like being a part of how season 8 went, their main plan to protect everybody was put in the crypt.
Oh yeah.
And after Jon Snow repeatedly told them that the Night King can raise the dead. Yeah. And it's funny because there was actually an interview with Peter Dinklage, and he was like, "So they're having."
I like how you said Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage?
It's Dinklage, but like
drink.
Am I right, guys? It's Peter Dinklage.
Yeah,
but you know, I think he would
Dinklage.
appreciate that line.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage.
Well, with the guy that plays Tyrion,
Yep.
yeah, they did an interview with him on set, and he even said the same exact thing. He goes, "Okay, so they're fighting a guy that's raising the dead, and they're having all the women and children down to the crypt, and even Tyrion agrees with them." And he goes, "Apparently, I thought Tyrion was smart, but I guess he's not that smart." Yeah, and I was like, okay, if your actor, if the actor notices that there's something wrong with the characterization of, you know what I mean, like of the character that he's been playing, then clearly the writers didn't think about
exactly.
it.
So going back to like the original seasons, we love it because it was chess. Everything was chess. Everything was deceptive. Everything was smart. No one made like really retarded errors.
Yeah,
unless you were Joffrey. You know, which was part of his character.
Oh, and Cersei, shit.
Now you have
smart.
Now you have freaking all these characters are making one dumb mistake together. You're gonna tell me not one person thought, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Like, you know, like it
you
doesn't
had all
make
these
sense.
tacticians.
Speaking of which,
and Tyrion is among them, and Tyrion would have. He's right.
Exactly.
He's right to voices.
And another thing we talked about was Cersei's character as well, because we had brought up having. She always was a character that had contingency plans.
Yes.
She always had a backup plan,
She always had a plan.
If something failed, she had a backup.
Yep. And everything was with a purpose.
And then that was out the window with that character on this season 2.
Yeah, all she did was just stand in the window and drink wine.
Yeah.
The purpose?
Happy hour.
The purpose?
No, okay. So, besides that, as like an actor or performer, as an actress, dude, she got paid $1 million to just sit out a window and drink wine.
Right?
Good fucking shit,
Bro,
Lena Headey. Like,
honestly,
good God. Like, you just had like the best job in the world and got paid the most out of all of it. And she probably just like, oh,
bro.
Okay.
Yep.
Like, her main purpose of this season was just to like the beautiful ending or whatever with Jamie or whatever the hell that was, and then another purpose was just for her to get Denny fucking angry by killing Missandei.
Yeah,
that's it.
So and that gets me so much because that goes right into the whole thing I was saying. Everything is so on Game of Thrones fashion because
in this one season they kind of just like undid everything that they built up to.
So there's so many flawed personality changes. So I don't mind the fact that personalities were going to change dependent upon what was happening. But the way they did it was too, like, you might as well have just gave everyone bipolar disease because it was just that sudden. It was just like, so, but before I even get to that part, what you said about Missandei, Missandei. I can't say her name, but I'll call her Missy.
It's the way Greyworm says it. It's just like Missandei.
Yeah. All right. Well,
like he dropped his ice cream. Missandei.
So they beat the freaking Night King. It's like you don't even get to see Jon Snow fight. You don't even get to see the Night King wield his sword, right? Which annoyed me. I wanted to see an epic freaking fight with the frozen Darth Maul and freaking Jon Snow and like. And if Arya had to kill him, Arya kills him. But like, there had to have been a fight. There had to have been a fight with the generals, and there had to have been a fight with the Night King. That was all that episode was missing. Was an actual fight.
Yeah,
that's all it was missing. It could have still ended the way it did if there was at least a fight the episode would have been phenomenal. It went down in history as one of the greatest freaking episodes of all time. There would have been no real questions about it. So, that episode ends, and then it starts with all the character flaws. Beginning with the fact that Jon Snow and Daenerys are in love. They shagged once 2 days ago. They're in love. Right? That wasn't that long ago. They were on their way back to Winterfell on the boat when that happened. They had sex, and all of a sudden, yeah, we're in love, and he's like desperately in love all of a sudden, right? It's just weird.
She's my queen.
She's my queen. Where this is the same guy that told her, I can't break that oath. I can't do this in front of everybody else. Like, he's that guy. He's the reincarnation of like Ned Stark's personality, honorable to a fault, gets himself killed over it, right? And you're gonna tell me that when Sansa, he's the one that tells you what's right. So when Sansa is voicing her opinion that she's not arguing with the queen that they won't go down to King's Landing to fight with you, but they need to rest, right? Because it's true, they need to rest, because the whole controversy of them needing Cersei's help was to fight the Night King and his army because they were outnumbered, right? Yeah. And everyone said the moment Cersei didn't show up, what's gonna happen? We're gonna fight the Night King. All our forces are gonna be depleted. Yeah. And we're gonna get crushed by Cersei's forces because now she has the Golden Company and she has this and she has that and she's been building money and her army's gonna be stronger. So yeah, you have to rest your soldiers. But he's just all of a sudden out of character saying, no, we're just gonna. Look, she's the queen. This is what she ordered. That's not Jon Snow. I'm sorry. Maybe you guys think differently, but to me, that's not Jon Snow. And I'm going to go deeper into that because there's other things he does, and it gets even worse with this character. That it's not who he is. That's not who he is. That's not who they built him up to be.
I mean, then again, you could argue maybe it's because he was in love.
You could, but it wasn't built enough. It wasn't built enough.
That's what I'm saying. But
and now that we've established,
it is a cheesy way.
And now
it's like a cop out, you know?
Yeah, it is.
It's a cop out, and the people that make that excuse,
it's one of those like mediocre.
Who accept bad writing. Yeah. Like that's just what it is.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like people could just argue that he's just in love, and it's like. It's such a mediocre thing for such a show that was so uniquely written, like I said. So it's one of those.
And that was one of the smaller instances of his personality change that was flawed, but it gets worse. But and then all right, so she decide, they all agree, all right, they're gonna go down to King's Landing. They go down there, and Missandei dies. Right. This is where I had fault with that. So, because everyone's trying to defend Daenerys' rampage. The writers are, obviously. The people who like the show and like the writing and who think everyone who hates it right now is just a bunch of, bullies and whatever. They like what happened. I'll tell you why I didn't like what happened. Because, again, for us who look deeper into, the actual everything, the character and the relationship of Missandei and Daenerys wasn't built up strong enough for that to be one of the leading reasons for her to go on a rampage, to me. And we can make the inference, that's what the writers want you to do. They want you to infer they spent so much time together, even though it was off screen, you didn't watch it happen, that they were that close, right? But if you're going to kill off a character, there's such thing as waving the death flag, right? There is a such thing as waving the death flag. And meaning is this character has extra screen time. So all they did was let you infer, but you didn't feel anything. Missandei died, and I was just like, okay, Missandei died. Right? Because they did nothing with her character. This whole season, she was barely shown. It was just like, she died.
It's like, hey, remember Missandei?
The only other time was when they're in the crypt, and she was like, oh, if it wasn't for Daenerys, then you don't.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was it. That was the last.
It's like I saw a meme before.
But if you take that line, that's all the people she freed would say the same thing. You might as well just put anyone up there.
Yeah, and say that. Yeah, exactly.
But so she's up there and they kill her, and I said to myself, they blurred out the image of her getting beheaded, and I thought to myself, why they blur it out? This is Game of Thrones. Yeah. This is HBO. Ned Stark, they didn't blur out his head. Like, why did they blur it out?
They showed his head on a fucking
So, I said to myself, I said, after I watched the next episode and the next episode, and then when she goes on the rampage, that episode where they kill Varys, I'm like, he didn't even scream. right? Like, he got burnt alive.
Yeah.
You know, they've showed other people being burnt alive. They showed a little girl being burnt alive, but they didn't show him getting burnt alive.
Right.
Right? And you just see a little candle and flicker the screen, right? And it's just like, right? And it's just like, you kill off the Night King with one move, right? You kill off Missandei, you blur her out. Varys has a little flicker, but he doesn't even scream. I know he has like he must have balls of steel, even though he had no balls, because he was just a man. He just burnt alive. Because I believe it. Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious said his father died and he was a man, but he screamed. He got burnt alive. Like, that's what would happen. You get burnt alive, but like Varys doesn't get shown. And so I tried to make some, like, it didn't make sense in my head, and I thought to myself, if I could think about this, the writers surely could have, because this would have made more sense to me. If Missandei's up there, you know, bad writing number one, Cersei grabs her and says, "Do you have any last words?" And I said to myself, you're Missandei.
Yeah.
The character that they built.
You already know you're about to die.
The character that they built as Missandei knows she's about to die. She's mad, you know. Yeah. You could tell the way she said Dracarys. She's like,
she's
fuck
mad
these
enough
people
to say
up.
Dracarys, to fucking kill her.
Meanwhile, Cersei's arm is holding her. And she knows she's, you know, worships Daenerys, basically. Yeah. She knows this is Daenerys' ultimate freaking enemy. Your boyfriend's down there. You know if you kill Cersei, he may not have to die in a battle. You telling me while she's right there and no one else is around, you're not going to try to pull her off the freaking ledge and shoot? Like, if I'm going to die, I'm taking you with me. I'm going to fight. I'm just going to stand here and let them kill me.
It's because it's plot armor. That's why.
Plot armor. She died.
Plot armor for Cersei. No, but like, get this.
But hold on.
Get this. What the point? Why the fuck what was the point of having Cersei there in the first place on the wall? She's a fucking queen,
right? So
she should be up in the castle and like, send the message. Oh, you know what? Here's the message. We're gonna send her Missandei's head. What? Missandei shouldn't even have been on the wall with Cersei to begin with.
Yeah, she was clearly not afraid of the dragon.
It should have been just like, here, send her Missandei's head.
First of all, that's writing number one.
Yeah, what I was saying was because plot armor, because they wanted her for the next episode to die, not this.
But no, like it was so cheesy. It seemed like a cheesy, like, just drama show. Almost. But I wouldn't say soap opera, but you know, it's like. It was just there for the drama. Cersei and Missandei were there on the wall just for the drama.
Yeah. But this is why I say it was bad writing, and it was not in a Game of Thrones fashion, because this is the way Missandei should have died. It would have built more relevance to what happened next. Missandei should have tried to kill Cersei right there, try to pull her, rush at her, right? Yeah. And then you also have Clegane. He's up there, the mountain. And he has this record of being just brutal, and he's been raping people and killing people and crushing people's heads, right? He should have came in between them, broke them up. Cersei should have had that flustered look like, oh, that was close, right? Yeah. And Clegane should have ripped her arm off first, beat her with it or something, and then blew up her head. And then Cersei would have said something like, put her body on a spike right in front of this gate so they will always see it when they come tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. Because that would have been purpose for Cersei being up there. So you can associate Cersei with the cruelty that happened to Missandei. Mm-hmm. And because they didn't build the relationship strong enough between her and Daenerys, you still would have felt something the same way we had an effect at the Red Wedding, the same way we had an effect of like all Ned Stark dying. Mm-hmm. It's because it was so cruel. Yeah. It was that shock effect. It was Game of Thrones. You show everything. Missandei gets her head crushed right there in front of everybody.
You know what it was?
And, you know, like, but that would have gave more relevance to what Daenerys did. Right. Why she was angry.
The reason why they probably showed those cuts and stuff was just to cut the budget. Probably just to put it all into the dragons and stuff.
Yeah, but see, it's like, what budget? HBO would have gave you all the money you needed.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's all the number one
But HBO even offered them to do the 10 episodes. Yeah. And they said, no, we don't want it. We'll do it in, you know, whatever. But like
6, yeah.
So to me, that excuse just goes out the window. And if I could think about something as simple as that, and that would be great. Yeah. But that'd be great. That'd be fucking great if that happened. But like, it didn't. You know, and that's just like flaw number one. Like, and then you go into the whole thing with the dragon. You know, the dragon shows up that episode, destroys everything, gets so buffed. Yeah, and I thought to myself, if your dragon could have did that now, you could have did it when Missandei was on the fucking platform. Yeah. Why don't you wait a whole day? Your dragon did all the damn work. Like, she's like Dracarys. Yeah, she knew the dragon could have did it.
Right?
But it's like I said, it's just more of that to the writers just wanted to just space it out, and they kind of like, I guess what it felt like really was they kind of just didn't really even care anymore. Like, because that's what it seemed like as the season went on.
Yeah.
Like the writers just kind of just like were creating it just to end Game of Thrones. That's all it really was.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. There's been so many other shows that have ran much longer than Game of Thrones. For the Game of Thrones lifespan is pretty average, or even
It's
maybe
true.
below
Yeah.
average
Yeah.
for a show.
Less than 100 episodes. It's like 70 something.
Bro,
8 seasons.
Supernatural is ending at like season 14, 15.
Yeah.
But man,
What the
so
fuck?
And I bet you that's gonna have a better ending.
Right?
here's another reason why I don't like the dragon episode where she blows everything up. Because if you could have did that then, you could have did it. What, you didn't have to wait. You're right there. Cersei was right on the wall, and you could have seen her die. And here's the other reason: when she flies back and the dragon gets killed off of a fleet that she somehow missed, that's in the water. Whole fleet.
Yeah.
And they have spectacular aim. The Night King and them like trained at the same place. Like, I don't know, like spectacular
One fucking
aim,
arrow.
right? And it just hits the dragon, and all of a sudden there was like 5 shots. All like 3 shots hit the dragon, right? And
Rhaegar, right? Or whatever.
But like
He
the
dies.
first arrow fucking hit. They were so precise. The fucking first arrow.
but it's just the fact that they missed only 2 arrows,
Right.
like 2 freaking javelin.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
From
so
like
you're
2
gonna
miles
tell
away.
me between that episode and the next episode, she went to Top Gun with fucking Maverick and Goose and came back ace pilot and just dodged
Right.
everything when there's a bigger fleet, like
Yeah.
by like times 10, there's 100 ships and it's just one her and a dragon, and all of a sudden just nothing can hit her. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, and then her fire was overpowered. Like before, it would burn stuff and like things would blow up, but like it wouldn't be like so immediate. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the dragon was just like puff puff pass, and then there's a
But it's still like
like
I think about it. There's no point to have the dragon even do that in the first place. You could have flown straight to the castle, because it's like where is the fucking other fleet from the Iron Islands?
yes, very good point. That
Like,
was another.
Where
thing
the
that got
fuck
me.
was her? What's her name?
Yara.
Yara?
Theon's sister.
Yara, because that was huge.
Because when
Euron's there. Where's
what
Yara?
other time do you see her other than what, like the maybe second episode of this season?
No, you only saw her in the first.
The first. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was even earlier. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It was
first
only the
episode,
first,
she's
and that was
basically
it.
saying bye to Theon,
Yeah.
and then she's
That
suddenly
was pretty much
back
it, yeah.
after the
The
fact
line
everything
she
happens.
tells him too. The line she tells him is, she's gonna need a place if this fails to retreat to. She takes a whole squad with her, right?
Mhm.
Mind you, at this point they've beaten the Night King, and what everyone said came to pass. Supposedly was supposed to come to pass. Their forces are depleted. They said it themselves. Their forces are depleted. They're tired. They ran out of resources. Right.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, they have this fleet that sailed away, and they can call back, but they never call them back. And to your point, you were saying,
Oh, just where was Yara's fucking fleet?
Yeah.
Like, the Night King's already dead. They don't need to like the
Guard-
island
yeah.
that bad anymore.
Yeah.
That was the purpose, like you're mentioning now. That was the purpose of her holding the Iron Islands,
Yep.
making sure it's safe in case shit went bad with the fucking Night King. They'd have a second place, a backup
To
plan.
fall back on.
Yeah. But Night King's gone. No need to worry about that shit. So where the fuck is her fleet to fucking help in that battle?
Exactly.
She was absent the whole
the
fucking
time.
battle.
And she has the nerve to say at the end, "Oh, we
We
swore
stand
Daenerys."
with our-
Yeah.
We swore
What the fuck?
loyalty.
Where the fuck were you this whole time? Yeah. You were missing in like 5 episodes.
What
right?
the fuck, dude?
So yeah,
Yeah, literally, Yara had I think like a total of like 5 minutes of screen time. throughout
Yeah,
the
this
whole-
last season.
That must have been a nice payday.
But think about it.
season, yeah.
So, like, talking about character endings, ending of story arcs. I didn't like the Jaime Euron fight. One, it's like
Yeah,
the
that's
meme you
gonna
posted.
just-
There's a meme. It's a great meme. I think you posted it where
Yeah, we're
you see the
fucking
ships
fuck yeah.
so far off in the distance,
yeah.
and then it's like
Euron fucking swam.
all the way in record time. By the way,
Had
in record time.
Had the fucking
Swam.
energy.
Swam in
Fucking
10 minutes.
Aquaman right there.
Yeah.
Like,
His fleet was still burning.
yeah.
Yeah, this fucking guy swam 10 minutes in a matter of like 5 miles.
And he's the only one that made it to shore, by the way.
Yeah.
No one, even though he's the leader, nobody jumped off and followed him. He's the only guy
I
that made it to that
But
shore.
dude, think about this, Ninjan. I brought this up with fucking Naresh.
Yeah.
All right. Like when you think about this is how ridiculous that fight even like is. It just is.
The Jaime and
if they're
Euron.
planning on killing Jaime off with Cersei anyway, what was the real point in that fight?
There really was none. The only point was to have Euron tell him, "Hey, I fucked the queen," and then he died too. I was saying, that was his only main point.
Fight.
You know what's so funny
You know what's flawed about that though? Sorry, go on.
You know what's so funny about Euron was throughout the whole time of everyone waiting, they were like, "Oh yeah, if you think Euron was bad in this season, if you thought Ramsay Bolton was a bad guy, just wait till the last season. Euron's gonna be worse." Blah blah blah. And they kept building it up every single time. Like every article I read, they're like, "Yeah, there's so many things about Euron that's gonna be crazy this season."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Even the writers were buffing him up. They're like, "Oh yeah, Euron. If you think Ramsay Bolton was bad, you know, Euron's
Ramsay
gonna
didn't fuck the queen."
I think one of the quotes was like, Euron's gonna make Ramsay Bolton look like a little kid and whatever. And I was like, Euron didn't do shit.
No,
Yeah.
In fact,
He didn't even give Cersei elephants. Like, he didn't do shit.
so Euron, there's one thing I didn't like about that fight. Euron didn't strike me the character to be so obsessed with killing Jaime Lannister and just dying for no reason.
Yeah.
Because he shows an interest in living. In an earlier episode, he sees that they brought the White Walker, and he goes, "I have seen a lot of shit, and this shit scares me. They can't cross water? Cool, I'm going back to the Iron Islands."
Right.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He has a sense of self-preservation. So the fact that he swam all the way to that shore and they're losing the fucking battle, and that battle really doesn't mean much to him. Killing Jaime Lannister doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
But the writers are trying to make it seem like, oh, that means something to him.
There was
But
a
it doesn't,
conflict.
because
Yeah, really
you've already showed him for like it's just like what? No, he would leave and take back the Iron Islands. That would mean more to him than killing Jaime Lannister.
Right.
That was the whole point why he went back to the Iron Islands in the fucking first place. So if Cersei's gone, what the fuck does he care? Yara has the Iron Islands, who he tried to get rid of with Theon and take over. That's his main priority, and he has a sense of self-preservation. So the fact that all of a sudden he showed up and his only interest in that fight was to either die or kill Jaime Lannister, it made no sense.
Yeah.
It made no sense. When they're on the same side, it made no sense.
Yeah, there was no point in really having Euron to begin with, actually.
There was a point, but they didn't make it because Yara was supposed to show up with her fleet and have an actual battle and close that arc.
Yeah.
Close the Greyjoy arc right there. Yara beats him.
Yeah.
Takes back the Iron Islands the way it should be.
Yeah.
Her fleet destroys his fleet because when they got beat by him, it was on a surprise attack.
Yeah.
So fix that arc. She kills Euron.
Yeah, but it just... That's what I was saying.
It's
so
just like
really
pointless
no
character
point,
arcs. Pointless character arcs. Like
they did all this build up for essentially just Cersei, or not essentially just Daenerys can just kill everything with her dragon. So it's like, oh,
yeah,
well, okay.
And then die just minutes later.
Right?
Minutes. The
so
last episode picked right up off of the fucking
battle.
The fifth episode. Oh my lord.
Before that part, though, I want to mention. By this point in the season, they've mentioned 5 different times. Our forces are depleted. You only have 1 dragon left. In the same episode that she does this rampage, right? Tyrion frees Jaime and he says it. Well, actually, I don't know if you guys are going to win. Your forces are again, it's repeated. You guys are looking in really bad shape right now. Your forces are so tired too because they just got done with this fight and they're going to march all the way to King's Landing, which I guess is only 5 minutes away, but like, but they're going to march all the way down to King's Landing. That used to take like 3 days to get to, like, or 3 days worth of show to get to.
Yeah, that's why it took Jaime so long to get there. In this season,
he still got there pretty dang quick.
Got to Winterfell pretty quick, and then
he got there at the end
end
of the first episode.
Yeah,
so
but
then
that's a quick.
She shows up with depleted forces. Cersei's had time to build her army, put scorpions everywhere, and what happens? That fight never even happened. They get massacred.
Yeah,
massacred. Not even like just the dragon. It's just the fact that they were making such a big deal that this is going to be a hard battle to fight.
Oh yeah,
And then they just get massacred. That's bad writing. If you're going to say this is a hard battle to fight over and over and over again, and there's not even a competition.
Yeah.
Like, they might have, there was no point of the Golden Company. You might as well just knocked on the door and walked in.
Yeah.
And
They're like the most useless.
And this is what I mean by bad writing too, because if you look at the scene with the Golden Company, right, they come out of the door and they span across the entire screen. Meanwhile, the door's this big, guys.
Yeah.
This big. And they span across the entire screen. When that dragon comes and blows this hole through this door, it goes like this little circle. The very next shot, that guy gets up and looks around, that army is gone.
They're all dead.
Yeah, but think about it. The fire was only right here, centralized. He survives.
Yeah.
Right? Even though he was right in front of the door. He survives. Everyone else behind him dies, right? But the fire's only this big.
Yeah.
But the scene before had an army that spread out across the screen. They're all gone. They just spontaneously combusted. Like, I don't know. Like,
they died.
Even though the fire didn't touch them at all, they all just died. It was just like, okay, why don't you show us a fight? This is the last season. You did good with the Night King fight, besides the Night King part itself, but like, it was a great episode. Why not make this an epic battle too? Because no, it wasn't. It was just Daenerys being way overpowered, the dragon being way overpowered. She's an ace pilot. She went to Top Gun. Her name is Maverick. The dragon's name is Goose. They destroy everything. And fucking, like, that's all they needed.
Right,
Jon
like
Snow didn't even have to be in the fucking
No,
fight.
he didn't have to be there at all.
But it's the other important point too is that the fact that she just suddenly turns Mad Queen and shit. It's like this came out.
I mean, I understand they have been trying to build it up that she was going to be.
Well,
mad.
yeah,
I
but
mean, like the signs
story arc
like,
was
they're-
supposed to go
were
that
there,
way.
yeah, but
Supposed
it's
to.
just
but
the way
like,
they
it's
executed it was just
yeah,
like
exactly.
a
They
big
needed-
180 rather than a build.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
bipolar.
Exactly.
Like I said,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
switch.
It should have just been it would have made more sense if they built it up in the start of the season. She starts getting mad when she realizes Jon Snow's, a Targaryen. You know what I'm saying? Like
It
if
should've-
it started to build up.
They
from
should have
there,
made way more conflict between them. Because
yeah.
and her and everybody else. But like the problem is that they spent so much time building her up as a hero that they didn't do enough screen time of her being a mad queen.
Yeah, that's why.
They tried to make the excuse that they did. And there's good examples where it was hinted at.
Yeah.
And that's why we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it wasn't strong enough to do what she did. Like, it was not nearly strong. It was a 180 switch.
Yeah.
And the people who sit there again and make excuses for it are people who are okay with bad writing. Because that's what it was. And if you got to put yourself in Daenerys' shoes, in that exact scenario, with what was written, don't infer anything.
Yeah.
With what was written, what would have happened? Daenerys has done nothing but save innocent people. She's never killed children. It was a huge problem when the dragon accidentally killed a child.
Yeah.
Like, she said she would never be her father, and all of a sudden, in one day, after she's won the battle, and I'll tell you, okay, this is my problem with that whole fight. If you're gonna make the excuse that she's gonna do this, she's gonna burn all these innocent people. I'll tell you why. Even if she wanted to, it still didn't make sense. If, let's say, you justified the switch, I'll tell you why it doesn't make sense. You showed Cersei on there with Missandei. Cersei is your ultimate enemy. Cersei is the epitome of King's Landing. She's the embodiment of King's Landing. She's the embodiment of everything you hate. She killed your friend. She's responsible for so much shit, right? Yeah. You now are on a dragon. You killed all the you blew up all the scorpions that could shoot your dragon down. Nothing can stop you now. And you're going to tell me the very first thing you do for a whole hour is destroy King's Landing and give Cersei a time to escape. Because for all you know, that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
But instead of what Daenerys would have actually done, because her mind, if she was dead set on burning something to the ground, it was going to be Cersei Lannister. Yeah. She would have flown that dragon straight to the fucking tower, down Cersei's throat. Where the fuck is Cersei? I'm burning this shit down right now to make sure she dies. She's gonna die. Daenerys had no interest in Cersei all of a sudden. She didn't care where Cersei was. She didn't even know that Cersei died.
All the innocents. Killing all the innocents. She's got a bloodlust.
Yeah, she'd rather kill innocent children than Cersei. That's why the whole scene didn't make sense. If you could even justify her bipolar switch, which to me you can, the scene still doesn't make sense because she would rather just kill innocent people than the people She even says it before Jon Snow kills her. She was using it against me, you know, their innocence. Who was using it? Because you didn't care who that person was. You didn't go after her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's why it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that she won the battle and didn't go look for Cersei.
But it's like they even mentioned, like, it made a big point at the very end, gotta break the wheel and stuff. And if that's something even Daenerys believed in she wanted to do, she even said break the wheel and stuff with Jon Snow. That's another point to fucking think about. Like, Cersei is her main target.
Yeah.
It's like these people have nothing to do with the wheel. That's the people she's, believes she's trying to liberate.
Yeah,
Why
she's
the
trying to
fuck would she
liberate
burn
them.
them?
Exactly.
She wouldn't.
It just doesn't make sense that you won and then you decide to just burn them. It's just like when you didn't even kill Cersei yet. Like a better all right, so one of the things I want to bring up is the thing I posted all of us tagged all of us in that post where it's a quote from the writer saying, well, if the audience is so smart when they make the goddamn story. And the thing is, everything we've talked about, like with the scenario I gave with Missandei, is better writing than they did. And better writing, her going to rampage like that, like if she had at least went for Cersei first, would have been better writing. Right there, it would have been better. It would have made more sense. It doesn't make sense that she didn't go for Cersei.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of the things that happened this season was just pretty much just lazy writing. Like, they just kind of just wanted to end it just to end it.
For them to say the things that they've been saying is just ridiculous. To say that, well, we're the writers, you guys are the audience. If you're so smart, no. Like, if what we say is actually better, there's no way you didn't think of it. You just didn't want to do it. Like
some of these memes people are fucking posting and stuff are
already true. Like,
very true.
Yeah,
just like that one meme about the Unsullied are leaving now. Hey John, we're kidding. You could come back.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, so like I didn't like that with Daenerys. I think that was bad writing on her personality. And in that battle, while that's happening, here's another part about Jon.
Yeah.
You have the entire northern army there. Right, and Jon Snow's that character that they built, they wrote it out. Obviously from the book, but also in the seasons when they didn't have the source material. Jon Snow's that character where when he goes somewhere, he inspires people to follow. Yeah. Right, he is that guy. He's Jon Snow of the Night's Watch. All of a sudden, leader of the Night's Watch. He makes friends with the King Beyond the Wall, and all of a sudden they're following Jon Snow, and then he's the freaking King of the North, and you're gonna tell me when they go marching into King's Landing and everybody's going crazy? Yes, Dothraki, which I don't know why they were there, and so many of them, but all of a sudden they multiplied.
Bro, there was like 5 of them after Winterfell.
I kept thinking to myself, did she go get the people she left behind in what's the place, Meline or whatever? Did she ship those people over? Because I could have sworn she only had 5 Dothraki people left. But all of a sudden there was
same
a
with
lot.
Unsullied too.
Yeah. So
they ended up being double the number,
which is crazy because again. They kept depleted. Depleted was the key word. Her forces are depleted. Not
and then
really.
When you saw them, you're like, really? This is what they consider depleted?
Yeah.
Damn, what kind of army they had before? Shit.
But, you have this army that all of a sudden, it makes sense for Greyworm to kill the guy even though they're surrendering. But now you have all these Winterfell soldiers going and they want to go rape and pillage, and Jon Snow tells them no. This is the guy that they all worship. Jon Snow, he's king of this, king of that, king of this. All of a sudden he says no and they can't listen to his commands. They're pushing Jon out the way. And I'm like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But that's kind of weird considering you wrote the character like he's the all-time leader. Everyone respects his word.
Right.
And they're just going to push him out the way. Like, no, I'm going to rape this one.
I mean, you could still have the same impact, like something we discussed before. You could still have the same impact, that intensity between, like the North soldiers, Jon Snow, and then the Unsullied and Greyworm, and they're fucking just looking at each other. And while Greyworm's killing all these civilians and shit, and just the Northern guys are just shocked, and Jon Snow's like, what the fuck, or whatever. Because that obviously shows the fucking two sides that they're clearly for. Yeah. And the divide that Daenerys is now creating between the two kingdoms she's supposed to be uniting, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And then... Yeah. You guys want to talk about Cersei's death?
That was, I don't know. I feel like even as a
How?
Like for her character, it's just
Mikey's
like
got it. Why
it's
you
just
looking-
like yeah.
How did they? No. First off, the first point I brought up when watching that fucking last episode, I'm like, how the fuck did Jaime's and Cersei's bodies end up on top of the rubble with just like a few bricks on top of them?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Maybe they tried climbing out and they ended up dying.
And another right?
That's how it is.
and
Air.
on top of that, on top of the fucking rubble, the previous episode ended. The whole fucking caverns were fucking
They were
caving
falling.
in.
Yeah.
What the craziest part was
The
is
arches and everything, like you
they
mentioned.
imitated the scene as Tyrion's walking, and literally, if you put the scene side by side, you see the arches. The arches are standing in where Tyrion's there, but the arches are falling in the other scene.
Yeah.
Those are the parts that are
That's
breaking.
continuity error.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Continuity
collapsing.
error.
Continuity error.
The same thing with the dragon. He can't burn the rock.
Well, I mean,
but
okay,
he can
when
cut
you
down castles like
all
butter.
right, so when you really think about it, this is the same post-edit team that left a Starbucks cup on the table
And a
with the
water
dinner,
bottle.
and a water bottle next to Samuel's. Yeah, next to
Oh my
Samuel's
God.
leg.
Sam's water
So that's what
bottle.
I'm saying. So after just really trying to analyze this whole season, you just realize everybody just stopped really giving a fuck that's in production of this. So that's why
Dude, the
everything's
actors
just
were still
half-assed.
great,
Yeah, the
man,
actors
but
were still great.
They
Actors are great.
give a fuck about the characters. It's just like you're
And
explaining with Tyrion.
and all those characters
I know
know.
that's not
Same-
my character.
Same with the guy that plays
Oh.
Jamie Lannister. He's
Yeah.
been arguing about how
The
his character should
change.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
All the characters change.
that actor's a genius. Like if you've ever seen his other movies and stuff, like
Yeah.
he's actually really good.
Yeah.
So it's like he's a genius. He knows how his character should go, or at least be true to his character.
It's true.
And every like time the what was it, the writers like David Benioff and DB Weiss would
D&D.
be like, oh, you should do this with Jamie, and he was kind of just like, wait, why? Like he was always questioning them, but then ultimately he just went with whatever it was, because it's just at the end of the day, it's not like you could really challenge that. If
Yeah.
the writers want it to go that way, they're gonna have it go that way.
And that's
Because at the end
why
of the day, when you're an actor, it's kind of just like, all right, well, do I want to get fired from this, or do I
Right.
want to just keep going? Because I mean, I've been doing this for so long, so might as well just.
And that's why all the characters were out of character. Jon was out of character because he wasn't being the just person he was. Daenerys was out of character with her bipolar switch. You have Tyrion, who was just not the same character. He was always depressed. He was so sad to watch. He was like a sad Oompa Loompa, and he was just like, he was just moping. That's what it was. He was just moping.
He didn't
everywhere.
have too many clever lines.
And his
either.
lines
Yeah.
and the jokes that they were trying to put in his mouth were so forced and dumb. Like it was just
I know he's made mistakes before, but goddamn, this was like mistake. He could not fucking redeem himself whatsoever.
Tyrion, yeah.
It's like he looked like a total dumbass.
he just looked mopey, and that's not his character. Like there's things that he would have done. Like when he was in the crypt, he shouldn't have been in the crypt in the first place.
Yeah.
But the line he said was true, and I thought they were gonna capitalize on that moment. He goes, we can see something the others don't. And I was like,
because
that's
he's a
right.
tactician, yeah.
And Tyrion has been in a battle. Him going down to the crypt, him telling them to go down the crypt, Sansa telling him you're not going to be useful, wouldn't actually stop that same Tyrion that went into battle before. He would walk his ass up there and find a way to help win.
Yeah.
He's already got... Tyrion's always a person who's like, well, shit, every situation, I'm about to die. Well, fuck it. Where's the wine? And I'm going to do something because we're going to die anyway.
Yeah.
That's Tyrion. He's still a Lannister. Like, he's still Tyrion freaking Lannister, guys. Like, it's just like, it didn't make sense. Like, he was so out of character and he was so mopey.
Yeah.
Like, he got some of the character back when he went against Daenerys, but, like, there's just things that she would say to him, and it's just like, Tyrion had no he was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
What to say
what?
back, yeah.
That's not Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah.
Like, that's never been Tyrion Lannister. And then the whole thing with Cersei had a character change. I didn't like the way Cersei died. The reason being is because she started begging for her life.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense to me because, again, they wrote a character that was so badass, right? That the first problem was she didn't have a plan beyond the Scorpions. The regular Cersei we know has contingency plans. She doesn't just put scorpions and like, I won.
Spots, yeah.
Right? Like, I won. And I have a fleet. Where's the elephants? Like, no.
Yeah.
That's not Cersei. Like, I was expecting something with the wildfire to be put in places. Yeah, it got burnt up. but that's like the remnants of what they were talking about before that the Mad King put there.
At,
Like
at least have more scorpions in the
on
inner
the actual
keep.
castle.
In the
Yeah,
inner
the inner
keep and
keep
stuff.
on the towers. Like
Well, why is there only scorpions on that outer wall and that's it?
Yeah.
But she just sits there and like starts crying, and then she leaves. Jaime gets her, and then she starts begging for her life. And Cersei's not that person, because everyone forgets in the previous season, in the same battle that Tyrion fought,
Yeah.
she's in the keep. She's like, we're about to die, and she sits her ass in the throne with Tommen, with poison, and tells him some. I forgot exactly what she said to Tommen, but that's Cersei. She was like, "Look, we're gonna die. I'm not afraid of death, and my child, you will not be afraid of death either. We're dying by our hand because these motherfuckers are gonna kill us, and they're gonna walk in and see our asses dead here on the Iron Throne."
Yeah.
That's Cersei Lannister. So her going, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, at the end has made no sense.
They just wanted to make it more
whatsoever.
dramatic for her.
And it wasn't. It was just more dumb.
But that's what the reason why they made it that way was because they wanted to try to instill that kind of like drama that, oh, this girl's been so powerful her whole life, and then now she's at the last seconds of her life, so now she's begging for it kind of thing. It was just like, that's just, like I said, that's just lazy writing.
Yeah.
Because that's not even like true to the character.
It's not. And again, the whole battle with Jaime Euron was weird. Euron should have fought Yara. Jaime should have went in there. And if he was going to get stabbed, he should have died.
I mean, if
arms.
Euron could fucking swim that fast, he might as well just swam back to the Iron Islands.
right?
I mean, shit.
Aquaman,
He fucking...
So nobody can catch
swam,
him.
yeah.
So it's faster than dragons fly, bro. Like
Another weird thing was, if they were gonna, whatchamacallit, escape, why didn't they just escape using that route that Tyrion used in that one battle when he went through the walls?
Well, I didn't remember the route, but I'm pretty sure that was the route he was telling Jaime to go in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
that was
funny
the one that
because it's
got
like,
closed off.
but that's where, well, they claim that it got closed off, but isn't that where Euron ended up?
Yeah, but he swam to that. It was a shore.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is like he's still, and that's how he was able to still get into the castle, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Jaime
'cause
got
of that.
into the castle. So Euron was there, but then when Jaime tried to go back, the rocks fell.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So they got
That's what I'm
closed
saying.
off, which didn't make sense because
Yeah.
I would have. It was clearly a hole at the top.
Yeah.
They could just
Right?
climb on the rocks,
Right?
start moving some rocks. If you're really trying to live,
Yeah, I know.
if you really are trying to live, if you're trying to say
get out of
we're
there.
getting out,
If
you're
fucking
Jaime
Tyrion-
Lannister. You literally just sat and looked at the rocks at the top and like, shit. You know what? I got stabbed twice. We're gonna die. I'm
Tyrion-
actually trying to get you
Tyrion
out.
was able to move some rocks and get to their fucking body.
Yeah. Tyrion moves the rocks at the top like the same way he could have, but he's like, nah, it's done.
But it was weird because
Cross
when you watch where Tyrion opened up or whatever, like he took the things off, there's that whole pillar that's right behind them, right?
Yeah.
That's still like standing.
Standing,
Literally,
yeah.
if they
There's
walked
a
like
gap.
10 feet,
They
like,
would
to
have
the
been
left,
covered, yeah.
they would have lived.
lived.
They would have been fine. Yeah.
And then you would have had a whole day to move some rocks and escape, and nobody would have known.
Yeah.
Because Daenerys didn't care if Cersei lived or died. Apparently, she never went.
She never went to
looking.
look. Yeah, look for the
Yeah,
body.
she never
or anything.
asked anyone. Did Cersei?
She
dead?
just assumed that they're dead.
Yeah,
So it's
like
oh.
which didn't make sense.
Okay.
And this is why Cersei's death was done, because you already killed off one of the main story arcs, the Night King, which is saying no, he's not one of the main antagonists. Cersei is, and then you kill her off this way, and it's not the way it should have been.
Yeah.
It's Game of Thrones. Daenerys should have got a hold of her somehow, or Arya, or someone should have killed her. Jaime should have died in Cersei's arms if they were gonna do the whole fight and he gets stabbed, because it didn't make sense. He was completely fine leading her into the cave, like, oh
Right.
yeah, I didn't get stabbed, I'm okay. But like, he should have died the moment he saw her. Like, he got to see her, she dies, and Cersei's there, not knowing what to do. Either gets captured by freaking Daenerys and gets burnt alive, like something dramatic, bro, like something that she deserves, like, you know, like.
But then getting killed by a falling castle, that's, like I said, lazy writing. That's all
Anything would have been better than rocks.
Yeah.
Arya Stark could have killed it. Would have been better than rocks. You can't. So when the writers are like, "You come up with a better ending if you're so smart," anything would have been better
Yeah,
than rocks.
what
Right?
just happened, yeah.
If Jaime killed her, it would have been better than rocks. If Tyrion killed her, it would have been better than rocks.
Yeah, that would have
If
fulfilled
the Unsullied
prophecy.
killed her, it would have been better than rocks. But that's the major point.
Yeah,
It was
they
it was
built all
supposed to be
these-
a prophecy that she was gonna get killed by one of her younger brothers. What happened to that?
Yeah, I guess bringing it back up every now and then didn't really matter. It was kind of just
Yeah.
like dumb. It was just like it was just pointless.
Yeah.
So now when you rewatch, that's the problem. Now after knowing how it ends, now when you rewatch a lot of the episodes and you go back to like these prophecies and how things are supposed to play
you're
out
gonna
and this and
notice
that, all
the
this
little
build up,
shit.
all the little details, none of that actually matters.
It doesn't fucking
because
matter.
it ends the way like you would have
And
predicted it to.
That's
Yeah.
I think that's what's probably disappointing most about this shit.
So
was
then
the finale.
I used to always fucking
finale.
the
watch.
finale.
I didn't do that this year because my drummer has season 2 that I have. I usually watch through each of the seasons leading up to whatever season is next.
But
just to remind myself of what went on. Wasn't able to do that. And like Naresh helped remind me of a bunch of like of those little details. I'm like, oh wait, you know what? You're right. This episode was worse than I fucking thought.
Yeah, the thing was the reason why a lot of people saw it so disappointing was because they did that. They went back and saw every single episode that led up to this season, and when they did see this season, everything was so disappointing to them because it was very different. It just had not the same feeling. And then same with a lot of people why the finale had so many mixed reviews was because, you know, it made sense. It made its point. It made its point that George R.R. Martin always wanted to make, which was, you know, war and death will always cause the same thing. So, you know, break that chain, break that, you know, like cycle or whatever. Yeah. So start to create, you know, like a whole democracy of things and start to create a different kind of system rather than fighting for who's going to be king kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they did relay that in the episode. So at least they got George, you know, the original author's like real, you know, message across. It's just the way they executed that message
Horribly.
that doesn't make, you know, the one bit of sense. It just does not fit, and it just came out of nowhere. Because it's like now at this point, the way they did it was like, why didn't they just have this council before? And we're just like, hey, let's do a vote instead of fight for the throne. Yeah, but it took I guess the main thing was the way it was supposed to happen was it was supposed to take all this battle, and I'm pretty sure those battles were supposed to last longer than just like, you know, one episode.
2 minutes and depleted forces.
I'm pretty sure the battles were supposed to, you know, whatchamacallit, linger on to the point where you even felt tired of what was going on, because that would have made more sense, and then that would have made more sense to show that message, to be like, well, because this is all that happens with war and death, it just brings the same thing. But just throwing those ideas just around in there and then coming up to that conclusion is just like, the point is, you can see definitely in this season that the writers had a point A and a point B of how they wanted it to end, because they consulted George R.R. Martin. So they're like, okay, we know how it all is going to end. But it was just in like that last part in between that where they were just like, okay, we'll just do it this way just so we could get the season done. Yeah. Because, I'm pretty sure they kind of just, maybe they too got just tired of like working on the show or something. Or it had to be
unfortunately,
something like
that has to be what it was, because it's not money.
That's the only that's the only thing that just makes sense to me, is they probably just wanted to work on their other projects rather than do Game of Thrones.
Yeah, which is sad, because if you think about what the show could have been, it would have been their legacy. Why would you not?
If they would have stuck to that same kind of thing that they did in the previous seasons from 1 through 6, it would have been fine. But
it's like they're not very proud of their fucking work.
Right.
But honestly, at this point, if, you know, I remember reading about it, someone made the comment, like, at this point, the writers, they actually don't really care. They even said themselves they were waiting for people to get disappointed from the finale, and they honestly didn't really care if anyone was disappointed. They could care less, because they've already been paid. They've already gotten their awards. They've already gotten all this recognition, and people are already throwing all this new work at them, that they're like, oh, well, let's just do these new projects and just, you know, just end Game of Thrones, because they probably got tired of just trying to consult George R.R. Martin, trying to make sense of everything. Because, like, if you really think about it, if you take 2 mediocre writers and you constantly make them work to make a season where it's very, you know, uniquely written, it's very, like, deep in dialogue, and it's very clever and stuff like that. If you're working with someone like George R.R. Martin, where his books are fucking thick as shit and he's always just in the details, if you're working with someone like that and you're just a mediocre writer, of course one of these days you're gonna be like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to write something, get paid for it, and then work on my next project. And
which is crazy, because the simple solutions we've already come up with wouldn't have been much extra to do.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, it all comes down to whether or not they wanted to do something like that. Because there's
Well,
even,
I mean, we already know they did it.
yeah, yeah. There's even an interview where David Benioff in, I think they were interviewing him in whatchamacallit? It was the episode 3 where they were talking about like all this like fighting and stuff and with the White Walkers and stuff, and David Benioff said something that like really stuck out. He was like, yeah, well, because we for a while we built up Jon Snow to be this hero and stuff like that, but then we decided, what if we just go away from what everyone was expecting and do something else? And I was like, wait, why would you do that? Why would you do that at first and then start to just do things that everybody expected? Like, it doesn't make any sense to go away from what people were expecting and then on certain things to just do what everyone expected. So it's like I said, the writers just, honestly, at that point, probably just didn't really care.
And it didn't make sense because now you just completely took away relevance from all of
every fucking thing built up.
Because, again, like, what purpose did he have? He didn't have a purpose then. His name was irrelevant. He was irrelevant. And so let's get into it. The last episode, we'll finish this up. We'll talk about this last episode.
Are we ready to get to the last detail yet?
Yeah, we're ready to dive in because you have this episode, you can break it into 2 parts.
Yeah.
You got the Lord of the Rings ending, and then you have the very, very first part. So I don't remember exactly how long the episode was, but it felt like 10 minutes, and then you had the rest of the episode was the ending, right? They were just finishing off the.
I think it was like 20 minutes
dialogue,
because it was like there was like a good 5 minutes of Tyrion walking around.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to show how crazy war
the
and death
aftermath
is
was,
and the
right?
aftermath. Yeah, and then the Jon Snow thing where he's trying to tell Greyworm not to kill those people.
They've all experienced horrific things, though. Is it really that shocking?
So
it just kept going. Yeah. I guess at that point it was because it was a bunch of innocent women and children kind of thing rather than soldiers. So this time, I guess to them, it would have been a little different.
They've all of that.
Yeah.
Horrors.
But like, they're supposed to. I guess it's not seeing it from the person that you're following or wishing was a good leader. But
that would make sense.
The thing is this:
anyway,
you kill off the Night King.
Yeah.
You think ultimate antagonist then is Cersei. You kill off Cersei with rocks.
Yeah.
And you know this is happening. You're like, okay, well, Daenerys is eventually going to become the bad guy. This is the last main antagonist of the show. Daenerys is it. If Daenerys is done, the show is over. Right?
Yeah.
How are you going to make the last episode where her only screen time, this is the last major character that has to go. The show is over. This is the character you've built up for so long.
Yeah.
And you don't do the justice. She has one conversation
with Jon Snow,
and she dies and immediately. Like almost felt like so immediate, like in the beginning of the episode, to the point where the episode just started and most of the focus was on Tyrion.
Yeah.
So you've now made an episode where the person who just sat down to watch it has had a whole week away from everything that she's done, so she feels almost innocent again because that episode is a week away, and you're still on the fence of would she really have done that? I don't know. All right. She did it.
Yeah.
But you still feel like there's innocence in her in some form because they haven't shown her go full Mad Queen yet. They try to explain, oh, she went full Mad Queen, but then you still justified it. You still the authors are justifying what she did. Oh, well, Jon left her. This, that, da 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 da. Okay, so she did that. She had a bad day and she fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Right? She's talking about breaking the wheel, Westeros, this place, that place, and liberating people. But when you think about what she's saying, she's not talking about innocent people. Liberating means killing innocent people. She's just talking about breaking down the houses.
Yeah.
There's no more, not killing them, just saying there is no more name. You don't, or status. You have your name. You get to keep your name, but you don't have a status anymore. There's no hierarchy for you.
She wanted to break the wheel.
Yeah. Right? So, what's so wrong about that? You think people, like the peasant people, are going to be like, oh, shit, no, you can't take away.
My way of life. I'm not going to sit in
I
that
like serving my people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no. Like, it's just the people that want to stick to their lord statuses that would be affected. So, yes, you can make the argument for Sansa and people like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm about to get into that now. Because, to me, Jon Snow killing Daenerys was the ultimate out of character move for him. if it was meant to be, they didn't do the switch right.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, again, it's Jon Snow. Think about everything you've seen from Jon Snow, and then say this to yourself. Goes in front of Daenerys, an unarmed woman, and kills her off an assumption.
Right.
When she doesn't even know what's coming. There's no, he just asks her a question, and she basically answers it like this. Well, they don't get to choose. She didn't say, I'm going to kill people. She didn't say, I'm going to, destroy everyone. They could be in prison. You can still make that argument. You can ask her to clarify. You can still make a bigger, better argument saying, well, what do you mean? Are you going to kill them? Because you can't be killing people all the time. That's the Jon Snow would try to still explain. If he's in love with her, he would try to explain it to her. Because he didn't get a right, straight answer. She didn't say, I'm going to blow up the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Burn them all.
And your job is to
Burn
convince
them all to
her.
the ground.
Right? Your job as Jon Snow is to convince her. So instead of killing her, because she's still saying, look, we can do this together. Right? And you can still convince her to save Tyrion even. Right?
Yeah.
But there was no real attempt. He asks her one question.
And I honestly thought that's what it was going to lead up to. I was in my head, what is he going to say?
Right.
I thought that's what Tyrion was trying to get at him. Not kill her, but I thought Tyrion was trying to convince Jon, hey, you're the only person that could talk sense into her.
And so he tries, right? And he doesn't try hard enough. He just immediately moves to stab her, an unarmed woman. Jon Snow, guys. This is Jon Snow we're talking about. Mm-hmm. The person that always keeps his oaths, his promises, never lies, doesn't tell a lie, isn't sneaky or deceptive. This is that Jon Snow. And they've changed his arc where he starts being funny because he's in love with her. All of a sudden, he's going to be all those things he's not to an unarmed woman who hasn't even actually committed the future crime of killing everybody yet.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying him killing her was out of character. And so...
Yeah.
Brings back the other thing I was saying about Jon Snow. What was his purpose? To deceivingly kill Daenerys? Because now you messed it up. Because now, if you're going to have Jon Snow kill anybody, it should have been the Night King. And if you're going to have anyone kill Daenerys, it shouldn't have been Jon Snow because it would have been out of character in that manner. So that should have been Arya Stark if you're going to have Arya Stark kill somebody.
Right.
So that's why it didn't make sense. And the fact that, you just killed off one of the major characters, she has no dialogue as she's dying. She has no justice to the fact that she's one of the main characters. Yeah. She has a 2-minute scene and she gets stabbed.
Finale,
yeah. It's completely undramatic. The most heartfelt thing you feel is when the dragon comes up and was looking at her. But it's just it's
a simple moment.
What? You're oh, I guess Daenerys died. It doesn't feel like a finale. It just feels like
another episode.
You didn't even make her feel like the last thing of the show.
Yeah.
You didn't make her feel like she's the last major character of the show. You just kill her off in the most anticlimactic way.
Another thing too was they never actually even showed her reunited with Drogo and her child. They said they were gonna be reunited. What was it in season 2? Yeah, Drogo was one day we're gonna be together again. Yeah, and then it's after she's dead, I thought they were
they would do a whole gladiator scene.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was kind of
at least her and Drogo riding the dragons in the afterlife. The two that are dead.
Yeah.
But then
I don't know.
Then nothing. She's just dead, and it's well, did she ever get reunited with Drogon, or is she just dead? Did did Drogon just fly away with her, and that's it?
Yeah, and it was just I don't know. It was just so.
I mean, I understood the whole point of Drogon burning the chair rather than burning Jon, and I mean, you can make the argument,
but it feels like it was cheesy. Yeah, it feels like it was cheesy, it was just a message that was just thrown in there.
Yeah. I get the message that they were trying to convey. It makes sense. That
I don't think
just dragon know what the fuck
people. The people are making that excuse, and I don't think that was it. If you look at an animal and you apply this one rule, he doesn't kill Targaryens.
Yeah.
He's just lashing out his anger. It's not like he just blew fire at the chair. He blew fire everywhere, and the last one was at the chair. Because it was a figure that was standing up.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, even so, that was still a good message.
Yeah, it was a good message, but
that was what I'm pretty sure that was what George Martin wanted to actually show.
To me, it was fime.
Was that throne being burnt?
Debunk people being mad at it. the dragon knows what the chair is, and he blew it.
Oh,
no, he didn't know
yeah.
what the chair was.
Yeah.
He just was standing up, and he needed to
But I
take
mean,
something
like-
down.
Like to me, that made.
Blown that chair for quite a bit of time. Shit.
I mean, for me, it was kind of like, well, yeah, it makes sense that chair gets burned down by Dragonfire because it got created by Dragonfire. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But like, yeah, I understand. It just seemed like it came out of nowhere because he was staring at Jon for a good like 20 minutes, and it's like, well, yeah, he's not gonna blow fire at Jon because what if Jon is another true dragon? What if he can withstand the fire? Because you never even actually see Jon.
He
feel
senses
like
the
it-
blood.
it
he gets
would've-
sense
Yeah,
that
that's
he's
what I'm saying
Targaryen.
too. Yeah, 'cause
But
he
even
knows he's
I
Targaryen.
feel like it would have been better, and like Naresh and I spoke about this too, about how it would have been better if the dragon did blow fire at Jon. And then it shows he's a Targaryen and he didn't get burned. He's just fucking butt ass naked or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Dragon's like, oh shit, you're the king. All right.
But
or even if they didn't do that, just all right.
Just blow fire everywhere.
Yeah.
And then just manage to hit Jon too.
Yeah.
If they didn't want to directly have the dragon.
Or if they didn't want to show him butt naked.
like
Game of Thrones, bro.
But like, so
we saw Hodor's dick.
Daenerys.
Yeah, but I mean, that only takes like $5 of the budget. You're just showing some guy naked. You don't got to do like
still.
CGI or anything.
Oh my god. But still,
you have
oh god,
Daenerys dying, and again, out of character for Jon Snow to kill her the way he did, so deceptively, and that's not in his character to do it that way. Off an assumption, again, she didn't say, "Yeah, I'm gonna burn her." Like there was still room for argument, room for like the way to maneuver the conversation to escalate it. At least if you're gonna have him do it, escalate it to the main talking point, which is Sansa. Sansa's the main talking point of that argument. What happens when people don't listen? Build it up, back and forth, and then it escalates. She gets angrier, he gets angrier, and he brings up, and she goes like, "Your sister," and she says something like, "Well, yeah, she will have to bend the knee," because that's the point where you feel like you're pushed against the wall. Jon Snow would feel like he was pushed against the wall. When he did what he did, he was not even on a wall.
Yeah.
She was still on eye to eye, equal. We're doing this together. He was not pushed up against any wall. Sansa should have been the breaking point. That should have been part of the argument because there was no argument. She was just talking to him and he was being flustered because, and he stabs her. And it's just like out of character because there was no build to the stab. There was no reason for him to kill her yet. And it was so sudden. She didn't have any good lines before her death. And if you're going to make her die so soon where she had no impact on the viewer, you should have put that half of the episode in the last episode. Made that episode extra long just to have that scene in there and do one whole episode of an ending.
Yeah.
And then, so there's that. And then it immediately moves forward to even more stupid stuff with character changes for Greyworm. Complete character changes for Greyworm that don't make any sense. And if you're going to have another character die...
They would have killed Tyrion and Jon Snow.
About Greyworm, the funniest thing at the end of during the finale was when Greyworm brings Tyrion with him to that council. Yeah. And Tyrion's about to talk and goes, "You don't get to speak," right? He tells him that. Yeah. And literally 2 minutes later, Tyrion's talking for 30 minutes. And it's just like, what was the point of the dialogue?
Yeah.
If you're just gonna make Tyrion talk.
What was the point of anything with Greyworm? Because you're literally showing him being angry and merciless. He's now lost Missandei. He now lost Daenerys. His first reaction, according to the character you guys wrote, D&D, you wrote this character. I won't say you wrote this character, but you wrote the last couple seasons of this character, and you continued with a certain persona, and that persona would have said, "Hell no, Unsullied. We all gave a shit about Daenerys." And I was telling Mikey this. I try to excuse it in the sense that if Daenerys is gone, Grey Worm sees himself as the leader and responsible for his army. Mm-hmm. Right? But he himself still would have tried to fight Jon.
Yeah.
Tried to kill Jon, I should say.
Right, yeah.
He himself, maybe he knew if he kills Jon, the Northern soldiers would now fight the Unsullied. But to be honest with you, the way they built the Unsullied is the same way. The Dothraki, maybe they wouldn't have gave a shit. Oh shit, Daenerys died? oh well, who's the next call? You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the kind of people they were. But like
But the Unsullied had a choice.
the
She
Unsullied
gave them
were
a choice and stuff, and they chose to
dead
follow
loyal.
her. And even
Dead
like
loyal.
even wanted him to go as far as change his name because Greyworm, like she thought was like
Was like a
shameful.
slave
But
name.
he's like, no, it's the name that I had when you set me free. I'm proud
Yeah.
of it. And he shows his loyalty throughout every fucking season.
Yep.
Always fighting for her, no question.
So
fucking
that should have
regard.
been another battle that should have happened: the Northerners versus the Unsullied, because.
Or like you
That's
said,
what would
at
have
least
happened.
Greyworm
or at
and
least
Jon
Greyworm
Snow.
and Jon Snow. Because again, who has Jon Snow fought since dying? Nobody.
Yeah.
He didn't even fight Greyworm. Greyworm should have fought. Greyworm has no purpose of even being alive still.
Right.
If you're gonna kill off characters, kill off that. Jon Snow and him fight. But and the reason why they didn't do that is because I think Jon Snow would have had so much guilt. If Grey Worm showed up, he would have just dropped the sword and be like, yeah, I did it. Which is probably what happened. But then, even still, there would have been emphasis for something else happening. Maybe Grey Worm tries to kill him. Arya Stark is still there. Stark kills Grey. Like, you know what I mean? Like, something that made more sense than Grey Worm going, oh, I'm so mad. Capture them. Okay, let's go to the council, see what happens. Like, what? And then they're all sitting there all comical. It was like comic relief for what? Like, it wasn't even dramatic. It just felt so out of place. They're all sitting
Like I
there.
said, it didn't feel like a finale. It kind of just felt like a normal episode.
Honestly, a bunch of the shit they fucking it like left open. It just seemed like they're trying to set up for different possible spin-offs.
And another thing is, what's weird is nobody like really cares about Drogon now. He kind of just like, oh, he flew away. And it's like, oh well, as long as he's far away from
that's
here.
the thing.
Like,
There's more.
This dude's a flying nuke. It's whatever.
But no,
they care more about like
that's
brothels.
something that got brought up with Bran and shit. He's like, oh, let me see if I could find Drogon and stuff. But it's like in the previous Night King episode and stuff. Why didn't he think of that shit?
Yeah,
when
when
he
he was
wargs
going.
into fucking ravens, he doesn't think there's fucking two dragons here that I could maybe warg into. No, now that all this shit went down, oh, let me fucking find Drogon.
But here's the funniest part. Even after, there's like some time that passes between him being king and that scene. You're going to tell me throughout that whole time they think now's the appropriate time to find Drogon?
To bring it up,
right?
Like, oh, you're right.
That's what I'm saying.
Dragon that
They
had.
rebuilt that entire room, and
What
then
do
that's
you
when they
mean
think
you
about
lost
it.
the nuke?
You know what I'm saying?
It's a big fucking bomb.
Remember that
What do you mean
dragon
you
that
lost
leveled
it?
this entire fucking city in minutes?
Yep.
Yeah, well, we can't find it. Oh, okay. You don't think that's a big?
let me see.
That's not an issue, right?
Missing
now?
dragon, not a big deal.
Yeah, you got a 50-foot dragon fucking free roaming Westeros. It's cool, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the people are fine, but that we don't care.
I mean, like, as long as he's not in Westeros, then it doesn't matter. Then fuck the dragon.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, they don't know if he's eating
unless he
innocent
travels
children
far
in
enough
Winterfell.
to,
Like,
you know.
Yeah, that's what I said. If he's far.
But like,
he's traveling west.
so yeah, the Dothraki end up staying in King's Landing. Let's be real, because you don't see them on any boats going back home, right?
Yeah.
They just
What
come
did
normal
happen to them?
citizens.
They were just like celebrating, and the next
Right?
thing you know, you don't see them ever. Yeah. They just stayed in Westeros because they're like, you know what, we actually like it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Westeros is
We're
nice.
gonna stop our raping and pillaging and become
Yeah,
civilized.
civilized citizens,
people.
and
Could be. Yeah, they kind of
the Unsullied go back home, and that's
It shows the Unsullied go back, yeah, but it never shows the Dothraki.
and then it goes back into the whole point everyone's talking about, and we had brought up when we watched the episode is, so why does Jon have to be banished? And Bran's the one that made the rule, oh, he has to be banished. Now, if you look at it this way, the line that they said was to, you know, you have to appease the people, you know, because if you make sense of why, I think it was like something Tyrion said, he can't be king.
Yeah.
Because half the army hates him, half the army, you know, hates him for this other reason. Jon Snow could still be king. You know, the only people that don't like him are leaving.
Right.
Yeah.
The Dothraki don't care. They just worship. They'll go follow the new leader. That's just their culture. If you beat this person, you win, right? So technically, if anything, like Jon Snow is their new call. But like,
what doesn't make sense is, wasn't that the same point
but
with Jaime Lannister, and he still became the Kingsguard anyway after they had all called him the Kingsguard?
yeah. So it's just like,
because
like,
he killed, you know, who they were following, but you know, he still was the Kingsguard. Yeah,
exactly.
He also,
so
but don't forget, going back to the whole thing about Varys and the fucking the whole point of They obviously show him spreading the word of Jon Snow being the fucking Targaryen
Yeah.
king, whatever,
Yeah.
rightful heir.
Yep.
So then it's like, what? There was no point in bringing that up either and stuff. And there's suddenly Bran is king, and then that's it. No questions asked and stuff. Like, it would have been better. It would have been better for Jon Snow to die because it's like,
right.
if you're exiling him, and
you might as well have an
people
epic death.
agree,
Right.
yeah,
You might
if
as well
people
give him an
agree
epic
that
death.
Jon Snow should be the heir, then he's still fucking alive.
Another funny point about that is when they're like, "Oh, Bran should be king." It's like this whole entire season, Bran was like, "Oh, I'm not Bran
I'm
anymore.
not the
Yeah.
I'm the
Raven.
three-eyed Raven." But
Yeah.
then as soon as they're like, "Let's make Bran
you're
king,"
gonna be
he's
king?
like,
I'm Bran.
That's
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
That's
In
me.
fact,
That's my name.
I'm
Bran.
Bran the Broken.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, it's like we'll call you Bran the Broken. What if Bran was like, well, I don't really like that nickname. That's kind of messed up. What about Bran the Busted Up? Like, start coming up with like messed up nicknames.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was great. But like, it's true though. But it's just
Bran
like,
the Wheel King.
you completely did
Professor
not
X.
explain. You know, the whole point of the story arc of the Night King was hand in hand with Brandon Stark,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
explain the Night King. He dies off so soon. You never
That's it.
fully explained
That's
what the
it.
fuck was the point of the three-eyed Raven, because he
He's
had no
supposed to-
purpose.
he's
All of a
supposed to
sudden,
have the memories of everybody.
but here's the weirdest part: his character hits a story arc wall that they built.
Yeah.
You don't hear from him at all until the last episode. They're like, he should be king. Oh, all of a sudden he's back. It's just like, why did you make the character hit a wall? Like, you don't hear from him. Nothing happens. He just stays. And
He's staying
just
in Winterfell.
quiet,
Yeah,
and
he's
it's
just
like,
chilling.
oh, why do you think I came all this way? Like, and it's just like, when did he tell the future? He was always telling
He was
the
always
past.
able to see the past.
Yeah.
And I thought there was certain rules to that, like
Yeah.
maybe like that he could only see memories of like Stark memories, like from the past and stuff. But he's like seeing all this.
You see everything.
all this
Yeah.
shit.
He's
Which
seen everything.
brings up another
Which
point.
doesn't make any sense, because then there's so many things he could have prevented.
Yeah, but okay, so now that Bran is king, the other weird part was he goes, "Oh, we need a master of whispers." It's like, no, you don't. You can fucking see everything.
Yeah,
Why do you need somebody to like tell you the word on the street
Yeah.
when you know what the word on the street is?
Exactly. You are.
You are the word on the street,
Right? Apparently he can see
Yeah.
everything now. Shit.
So it's like the
Apparently,
why
he's
do
just
you
more
care
concerned about finding the missing dragon than ruling the city too. He doesn't want to sit in his
I
first
don't know.
council.
He
meeting.
wants the power.
Yeah.
There was a lot of plot holes in the.
I didn't
the
like
finale.
the ending. I liked some
I
aspects
thought it was.
of it.
I think yeah.
I liked the whole Lord of the
to me-
Rings ends of the character arcs. I did like the scene between Arya Stark and Jon Snow. I did like the scene with Brienne writing Jaime's like
Yeah.
yeah.
And then there were some scenes I didn't like Tormund, right? He shows up, great. Jon sees him, great. Jon's still sad as droopy as shit. Fine, he killed the person he loved.
Yeah.
Whatever. Tormund has no lines. Jon Snow has no lines when he's up there.
Yeah,
Like,
they just say, "Hey,
Yeah,
hey,"
it's
like
just
nothing happened.
like
yeah,
did you got like
like they
I,
just.
I don't care if you're rushing it or not. Like you just don't know how to make dialogue as a
Like,
writer.
at
You're
least-
not even a mediocre writer.
I
You're
told
just-
Naresh, at least have Tormund say something like, "I told you you belonged in the North."
Yeah,
At
like
least-
that.
At least
that would have been a great
that,
line
you
to
know?
finish it off.
But
Like-
then they kind of just like they just look at each other like, oh,
That
hey,
was
what's up? Like
one
that's the
fucking
thing. Yeah,
line.
it kind of just like when
When
they
is
saw each other,
Tormund?
it's almost as like nothing ever happened.
But
Like
when has
everything
Tormund
that they've been through was
ever
just
been
like,
quiet,
right?
When has he
Yeah.
ever not
It's one
talked?
fucking line, dude.
Yeah,
That's because he's still heartbroken. That's why. yeah.
no, he was still talking when he was
Bro, he
broke.
wasn't
Yeah.
embarrassed as shit.
And technically, he could go get her now. Like
Yeah,
right?
technically, yeah.
He's like, John, you banished to the
It's like,
north.
I
I'm going
hear-
back down.
right?
Yeah.
I hear.
I hear Jamie.
I heard Jamie's dead.
tragic.
So yeah,
Okay.
You know,
it's
but
like big woman still alive.
right? So
Oh my god.
it's just there's so
I mean,
much
like-
to the ending that was just weird, and then
For me, I don't know. The ending was just like it was all right. It wasn't like that disappointing because I get some points that they were trying to hit. I understand that this was how it was supposed to end, but it was just how they got there that was the problem. And it was just
horribly
like
got there.
yeah, it was just such a mediocre ending for something that could have been a lot greater than what it was. But
Easily
the
been great.
best.
There's just like certain even if you wanted to keep your mediocre writing, there was just minor changes you could have made that would have made everything 10 times better. And that's just the plain issue is how lazy it was, and the fact that they can sit there and justify how lazy their writing was.
yeah, I know. Like if you ever watch those interviews, like after the episode, or not just the interviews, but like when they ask them the questions, like those articles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hard
you could-
sell it. They
yeah,
hard
they
sell their
really-
lazy
yeah.
writing. It's so bad. Like
It's like because now that they're being asked the question, now they're thinking about it rather than when they were actually writing it.
The fans wanted their season now, so
And those excuses, like again, we gotta fact check those articles, but like if that's really what they said, that article that I found with the quotes where he's just like, no, well the fan base. They didn't want a long season. The fan
but
base.
But like I said, this is coming from the same guy that made X-Men Origins Wolverine. So I'm actually not surprised if he did say any of that, or if they did just to start decide to just make the last season lazy. So that it comes to no surprise to me because it's like, they already got their money. They already got all their awards that they needed. Yeah. Their names are written. So like to be honest, like if they are assholes like that in real life, then. Honestly, they really wouldn't care what the viewers think. They really wouldn't care anyone's opinions.
Which is exactly what I'm starting to believe. I didn't say it yet, but I think D&D were assholes in regards to this last episode.
Well, just the last season in general. Yeah.
Shit, that shit started in season 7.
I meant to say the last.
That shit started in season 7, bro.
I mean, season 7 to me was still okay.
It wasn't as bad.
Yeah,
but this season fucking
now it's
picked,
more. Now it's more
apparent.
Picked
right the fuck up.
Now it's more apparent that they just like.
They might as well. They should have just saved fucking Littlefinger's death and put that in the first episode of this season and just fucking jump from one thing to the fucking next and leave it the same 6 episodes. That would have been
the same way they executed it.
Yeah, no, it would have made a difference if they saved his death for the end of last season or just put it at the beginning of this season. Just jump from one thing to the next.
There's so much that could have done
because it jumped right away.
Having space, having another episode by spreading things out a little bit. Because again. Daenerys dying so quick when she had no lines, just that one scene. You were like, it was just too sudden. Because there was no development for the last major character to die.
Yeah.
No development whatsoever. Where you can feel that this is the end of the show.
This season really did Cersei and
and the Night King
dirty and the Night King. Yeah. This season did those characters dirty because they've been built up for so long for
truly
essentially
but just think about that sentence in itself. Those are all the major players.
Yeah.
As far as all the bad guys.
Fucking Drogo had a crazier dramatic death than any of those guys did, and it's just like that's what's crazy. And he was only in one season.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, man. But the things they could have done, the things that would have happened, but it didn't. So that's the problem. So before season 8, my whole rating for Game of Thrones was a 10 out of 10. But then after watching season 8, I'm like, no, now it's literally an 8 out of 10 because every little detail that you rewatch, that you go back to visit.
Talking about the season as a whole, you're right. Show is still worth watching, so you can know what everyone's talking about, why the hype was real, and form your own opinion. But the show is still really good up to a point where they just ruined the things that they created. They destroyed the world that they worked so hard to create.
Yeah.
That being said, I still can't. Honestly, I would rate the show just because of the last 2 seasons, because the ending is a big part. The way a story is. And so honestly, it actually dropped it for me from a really high rating to probably about a 7.4.
Yeah.
In all honesty, because for me, the things that they did were inexcusable and there was no reason for it. No matter what they say, those reasons are non-existent.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to me why you would destroy the world you created. That was phenomenal. What made it the show? Why people watched on record-breaking numbers to this day, just to be disappointed. Because while yes, you guys worked your asses off, y'all got paid for it. That's your job.
Yeah. We
invested 10 years just as much as everybody else in the sense that we didn't get paid for it. We're just, I invested so much time in the show and I loved it and you got me so involved and you're just like, because you feel lazy and, it's just like, oh, well, fuck your life. What do you think? And that may sound very selfish coming from him. It probably is. It is selfish. Yeah. I deserve a better ending than what you gave me.
We all do. Honestly, from season 1 through 6, I'd say an easy 10. The acting, writing was always fucking on point and stuff. Kept you interested, and all the little subtle hints and everything that happened between characters and following each of the arcs so well. There was so much characters that they were going through with arcs, but the writing was so good. It just it flowed. It all still flowed together and shit. And then season 7 hit. It started getting rushed and a little down. I'd say season 7 is probably an 8 out of 10 for me, and then season 8 is probably a 7 out of 10. Still worth watching and stuff. Still worth like watching the show.
Yeah.
And if you watch these spoilers, you know that sucks. But I want you to know you should still watch the show because it was still like the writing and the acting with everyone.
From 1 through 6.
I can't honestly say that I was disappointed with anyone's like acting in the
acting was
show.
spectacular.
Yeah, the acting was still really
And-
good, even in season 8. So.
No, season 8, the acting is still on par. It's still great. It's the writing that fucking fell off.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we definitely pressed on that point quite a bit for this.
But
Oh my
definitely,
God.
yeah, it's one of those things where now when you do watch it, it's just don't even expect too much of the details.
Yeah.
So I'd say the whole series probably, I don't know, I want to give it the whole series overall like probably 8 out of 10 still.
Yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10. It was a 10 out of 10 before season 8, but then after season 8, yeah,
It's like you said, season 7 was still okay.
Okay,
it was still
yeah,
fun.
it was still okay. Well, for
But
me, it was okay. For a lot of people, apparently, that's the start of
it did start, but like you're right though, like it was because I guess the thing is now we have season 8 and we see the fucking monster that it came to be, and so season 7 doesn't actually seem too bad. The rushing in that wasn't too bad. It was this fucking season.
At least it still kept true to how Game of Thrones was in season 7.
Yeah, exactly. And like I still feel like I could give it at least an 8. You know, shit, it's still a good show.
Because, just one season isn't really going to take it down too much for me. I mean,
Why did it have to be the last
Yeah,
season?
That's why I had to drop it lower than 8. You guys are very generous, but like
because I still like the way
it's true. You can get away with one season for this type of show, with how good they've done before, but not on the last season.
I would still give the whole series.
I don't know, man.
Just because of See, it's one of those things because the last season really like messes with your like review of the show now because that's it. Like that's all it comes down to. Like all the stuff that they built up, all the prophecies. Some of the prophecies never came true. Arya's green eyes thing didn't even matter. Yeah, they kept bringing up the brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, but she never. I guess she's gonna kill Green Eyes later or something.
Or we have to assume we have to start figuring out which one of the Freys had green eyes, or like, who had green eyes?
Somebody had green eyes.
What color were Cersei's eyes? Somebody.
Hers was supposed to be green too. I think.
I thought hers was like blue.
I don't know.
You could make the argument for green and I'm like, oh, she's gonna kill Cersei, right? But like nobody with green eyes. It was just irrelevant writing once again. And then what's west of Westeros, guys?
East. I think that would have been hilarious if someone said that. As soon as Arya asked that, what's west of Westeros? Arya would have been like, oh, Easteros.
Easteros. But yeah, so this is our rants of Game of Thrones, our review. We still recommend this show. Again, you can form your own opinion. You've heard the 8s, and again, I think I said 7.4 or 7.5 or something like that.
I think that's probably a good average.
But honestly,
yeah, to me,
damn it, D&D.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, to me, I would give it still just an 8 out of 10 because I would still watch 1 through 6, maybe somewhat 7 all over again, and just totally forget about season 8. Like I could live with that.
Let's
or I could watch season 8 all the way up until the Night King gets killed, and I'll believe that he like killed everybody.
Yeah,
and everyone's a White Walker, and that's the ending I wanted.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
And it's true. He should have marched way further.
I
down
think
into the south.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. I thought the Night King was
beat
gonna
them there
because
they have to retreat. Go to King's Landing.
I always felt like the message was to, destroy. Well, no, was to destroy the whole wheel of how things were going. You know, like them in war back and forth. Yeah. I thought that's what the Night King was gonna do. I thought he was gonna unite the people because they're all dead. Yeah. So it's just like, oh, that would have made the most sense. Yeah, but then I guess that's just a narcissistic way of ending a show.
Like, prophecy fulfilled.
But I mean, I honestly would have been fine with that if they ended the show with everybody's dead, the Night King, turned everybody into a White Walker. I would have thought. I would have liked
that was going to happen.
He's like the asteroid that destroys the Earth and dinosaurs
lasted longer.
New life.
He should have been able to march all the way down to King's Landing. There should have been snow-covered King's Landing everywhere, and they would have either had to fight Cersei. They've been pincered by the Night King on one side, and they're trying to do this, and Cersei's like, I'll kill you guys and deal with the Night King, and if I die, I die, because that's how she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be Cersei freaking Lannister, and she's not supposed to be afraid of dying. And or they team up because Cersei realizes, damn, my plan really isn't gonna work because the Night King's here, and Night King just even if his White Walker army got destroyed, he should have survived and made some kind of further antagonizing the plot, But no. Yeah, little 1-2 maneuver and done. Everyone's dead. But there you have it, guys.
Yeah. That's my final grade.
Final grade. We'll see what these spin-offs will be about.
I honestly don't even because knowing how the ending is, I don't even care about the spin-offs. Yeah, because the spin-offs are all prequels.
Yeah.
So there's no really expansion. I mean, then what's already been done?
It doesn't matter what you explain to me now. You're not gonna be able to fix this ending unless you redo this ending. But that's not gonna happen.
We all know how it ends. So it's even if you do a prequel, there's nothing that's really gonna surprise you because you were like, oh, well, that's not gonna matter.
Because all the details
that they can explain. They missed out on all.
Yeah, but all the details that built up through this whole series
care for the details.
Yeah, they didn't matter exactly. So all
those
those details that made the show really good, it's pointless. Well, that important shit that you were really into the show for. Yeah, pointless. It's
So anybody that was waiting for the whole show to come out and then binge watch the whole thing, I would just suggest to not have any expectations with season 8, and then you probably won't be as disappointed like everyone else was. Because the same with me, I watched every season up until season 8, and then when I saw season 8, I was like, oh, it's finally here. The end's finally here, and it was like, oh, that was it, huh? Man, yeah. It's like okay, let's say this. It's like you're watching every single Marvel movie all the way up until Endgame, and in Endgame they decide
Thanos actually won.
Yeah. And or not just that, but they'll just be like, everyone gets brought back because they wished it with love or something, or it ends up being a dream.
Pikachu's
something mediocre or something cheesy. Imagine that. Yeah, imagine
love
Endgame
is the real
was
power here.
Imagine if Endgame did that, and you would have just been like, oh, okay, yeah. So that's how I put it. I also put it in another sense. Imagine watching all these great Super Bowls and everything, and then the final Super Bowl you get to watch ever ends up being Patriots versus the Rams again, and it's like,
and it's a blowout.
It's just a boring game. Yep. This is it. Okay.
But thank you guys for tuning in.
All right. See you guys next time.
That's our random Game of Thrones.